So we are going to wrap up here in a minute. I do have one or two more follow-up questions, but just to remind you all, if anybody came in late, Dr. Howard Wall, who's the director of the Hammond Institute here at Lindenwood, is up here to my right. I think he's still there. Yeah, he's still there. He just waved something at me. He is up here, and if you all have questions you would like to submit to either or both of our panelists, please scratch something down and give it to Howard, and he will be directing the audience participation part of this in just a moment. So, gentlemen, as we wrap up the last few minutes of our discussion here, so what? This sounds like such a gigantic problem, national in scope in all the 50 states. What can an individual do? What can someone do? Grover, I'll start with you. How can these people get further engaged on it? Besides buying Mr. Nader's book.
They can buy my book.
They can buy his book too, that's right. Coming out April 7th, yes.
Well, what's interesting is with email, with social media, one person can communicate with a lot of people. You can do your own letter to the editor without asking permission of a newspaper. The ability, if you have an interesting idea, if you've got a couple of friends, but just yourself, begin to communicate it and begin to learn how to communicate it in 140 characters. There are so many opportunities now that it's not, you don't need a license to become a political activist. There's no school you have to go to. You don't need a diploma. You don't have to, do X number of hours of something to get that permit license. You can just do it. My favorite cartoon in the whole world is a Far Side cartoon where these two cavalrymen out west are in the fort and these flaming arrows are coming in at them, and one says to the other, "The Indians are lighting their arrows on fire." Can they do that? Yes, you can do it, and just start. And you'll find if you get the ball rolling, I do think that people will sooner rather than later, react to subsidies for sports stadiums as they do now towards earmarks. The idea of handing tens of millions of dollars to billionaires to help build their playthings strikes me as one of the oddest things in the world. People hold hostage your interest in the sport. I will not, that I don't think stands at the end of the day.
Yes. And hardly a coincidence that it's happening right here now in our region.
Yeah, I think it's easier than we think to turn this around. First of all, if we had civic skill courses in colleges where you learned how to be a skilled citizen, a skilled voter, a skilled taxpayer, you'd learn a lot about the economy, but you won't have to swallow your grievances and not know how to fight City Hall or ExxonMobil when you graduate. So I hope if you don't have a civic skill course here that you put one in. I know a lot of your faculty would be very happy to teach it. How do you use the Freedom of Information Act? Do you know how to build coalitions? How to dig in research on property tax records? How to be resilient? How to share credit? How not to get discouraged? That's all. Now, having said that, here's one thing you can do. No one can stop you from doing this. As Grover said, there are certain things no one can stop you from doing. You get together with some conservative and liberals. Almost all of you label yourselves. Too bad. But you get together and you start a letterhead which says liberals and conservatives are left-right against crony capitalism and corporate welfare. And then you write to your members of Congress and to your state legislature. And you ask them pointed questions based on data like this, social media. You ask them questions they don't know the answers to. Like, could you tell me, please, the number of office buildings in St. Louis that are tax abated or other facilities? And when they don't know the answer, and they know you're coming left-right, they're going to have to educate themselves before they reply to your questions. And when you say at the bottom of the letter, CC, many interested parties, they don't know where your letter is going, okay? And so there's a way to write a letter that is 10 times more effective than the usual amateur letter, I protest, I demand. You ask them questions, you say it's going to be facility. One of my favorite PSs is, Senator, if you think only 10 signatures, left, right, are not enough, we can get 100 in about a week. Just tell us. Just ask us for 100. The senator says, oh, these people are real networkers. We better respond. Once you do this letterhead, left-right opposition, it's going to grow. You're going to find more and more people who want to be on your letterhead and who want to be your social media. And then you give it to the local member of Congress office, not just the senator in Washington, but they have offices throughout Missouri. And so they know that you know. They know that you are skilled. You are going to persist. You're not going to be blown off by some robo letter from some senator that doesn't answer your request. Now, can anybody stop you from doing that? If you had a course called Congress 101, and every semester you studied your 2 senators and representatives and disseminated all the grim results to everybody in the state, you would become the most important factor in that politician's life, because you're tracking everything that that politician is doing. The votes, the absentee, the fundraising parties, who they ignore, how they deal with the constituents, etc. It's simple. It's easier than you think to turn this country around. It just takes 1% of the population or less representing majority opinion, like left-right, 1% organized in congressional districts with about as much fervor and time as a serious group of bird watchers. And you can turn the Congress around. I've been around a long time. I'm not sugarcoating you on this. We turned Congress around with a few dozen people, but we represented the public will out there for coal miner health and safety, for auto safety, for clean food. Didn't matter whether they were conservatives and liberals. They want clean food. They want auto safety. They want breathable air. So just don't grow up feeling powerless. Then you'll make excuses for yourself as to why you will continue to be powerless. Congress 101, civics course, letterhead. Let's hear from you.
2 intellectual giants who do some good stand-up as well.